Onkar 3 times. Join your palms at the center of your chest for Patanjali prayer. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam Patanjalim pranjalim pranatosmi आबाहु पुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम्. Rub your palms on each other, make them warm enough. Keep them on your eyes first. Slowly and steadily open your eyes in your palms. See the light through the darkness. Slowly and steadily open up your fingers and join your palms at the center of your chest. Hello everyone. I am Prajakta Bharadwaj, student of Swasti Yoga Center. I welcome you all to the Global Yoga Festival, initiative taken by Dr. Vikas Sothe and Dr. Shvetambari Sothe. We, the Swasti Yoga Center family, are celebrating the 75th year of India's independence through the Global Yoga Festival, where 75 global yoga and spiritual leaders give speeches and share their views on various topics. Swasti Yoga Center is also providing a platform to young people and tomorrow's leaders to share their thoughts too. This program is taking place on every Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. IST. Today I welcome World Yoga leader, member of World Parliament of Spirituality, founder of various yoga organizations worldwide, author, Professor Yogi Bhaskar Nath, also known as Yogi Andreji. His full name is Andre Rail. Yogi Andreji has been practicing yoga since he was 11 years old. At the age of 24, he traveled all over India to study classical as well as tantric yoga practices. He was very touched by his meetings with J. Krishnamurti and Sri Anandamayi Ma and learned aspects of the inner path. He is also disciple of Chandraswami, an ascetic from the Brahmanic lineage of the Udasins. Back in France, he studied yoga from 4 different schools. He is the author of Les Princes des Poètes, a French adaptation of Ramayana, and 2 CDs of Sanskrit chanting, Mantra Sadhana and Vakya. He is the translator of different books on inner quests. He was nominated for the president of French Federation des Yoga Traditionals in 1992. He runs 7 yoga schools in France. There are various feathers in his caps. I am enlisting few here. He is founder of the Study and Retreat Center, France, International Network for Nidra Yoga in various countries, International Internet Teaching Network. He is the member of World Parliament of Spirituality India, founder of China Nidra Network, member of IYA, Indian Yoga Association, and many more. He is also the member of the Communication Board of the European Union of Yoga. He is Yoga Ambassador for the United Nations. He also works for International United Consciousness NGO, I welcome our today's guest lecturer, Yogi Bhaskar Nath, and request him to take over the session. Welcome, sir.
And the topic is about the ethical practices for a holy living. And sorry, I have a technical problem here. Just a second. Yeah, here we are. And tu peux le mettre là. Merci. So thank you for inviting me for this whole big program going on. Hi, Noga. I'm very happy to see you. Noga is a friend of mine and she's connected from Buenos Aires in Argentina. Oh, very happy.
Me too, Andre.
We traveled together a few years ago, going to my guru and little few places in India. So, topic of this lecture is once again the ethical practices, we called it, for a holy life in our today international, worldly, contemporary life. And this is a very, for me, it's a big question. And we had built a whole program on this topic at the beginning of the pandemic, which lasted almost 1 year online. So all of you, I suppose, have heard about what Patanjali called Yamas and Niyamas. I suppose these are new things for you. These are not new things for you. And passe par le bureau, s'il te plaît. And you know, has today become such a short thing, and we mix up yoga and asana. And as far as I saw that, especially in India, but it's all over the world, that we are confused now. We mix up yoga and asana. So that asana has become in the general public, yoga has become in the general public what I call gesticulation on plastic carpets. And unfortunately, we are slowly, on the world level, we are slowly losing the depth of yoga. So first thing is, we have to remember that if we give some value to the Yoga Sutras, it means a quiet mind. That is the state of unity, which is a translation of the word yoga, appears when the mind is quiet. I don't know why this definition of working on a quiet mind came to this big activation of the body. It's very strange. Giovanna, bonjour. There is also another student from Italy, Switzerland. So, and probably one of the reasons that this treasure of mankind is getting slowly lost is the forgetfulness of the exploration of unity. We are very at large today. We are not so much interested in unity. We are very much interested in diversity, in comparison, in getting better, and all these things are bringing conflicts in the mind, all of them. When we look at Patanjali, I mean, let's say Yoga Sutras, because nobody knows if Patanjali ever existed as a human individual, or if it was a group, or if it was or if Yoga Sutras were writing on several centuries. There are different possibilities of this. So when we look at the Yoga Sutras, they start from this point, which is living a ethical life. And this is very little spread today, because once again, the importance is given to physical activity. I've been studying something called Nidra Yoga, which is not the Yoga Nidra invented by Swami Satyananda, and that's another tradition. So I've been studying this for the past 57 years. And we are referring to another text, which is called the Jabala Darshan Upanishad. And the Jabala Darshan Upanishad gives 20 Yamas and Niyamas, 10 Yamas and 10 Niyamas. It will not be possible to go deep into each of them. As if I well remember, I have only 40 minutes here. That's it. Who is the organizer? Prajakta, are you the organizer?
Yes, sir.
Are you the person in charge of this?
Yeah, she is the host.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if I well remember, I have about 40 minutes. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So within 40 minutes, it
Sir,
won't
but we will like to hear you more. You don't have to bother about timing. It's our privilege to listen to you.
You are a gourmet. So anyway, so it will not be possible to go in detail into all those 20 different points of Yamas and Niyamas according to this Jabala Darshan Upanishad. But at first, there are a few things we have to understand. I suppose most of you have heard about those words called Vasanas and Samskaras, that we could translate as memories. So there are different types of memories. There are isolated memories, and there are psychological patterns. So we can translate Vasana by isolated memory, and Samskaras, I'm sorry, it's the opposite. Samskaras from isolated memory and Vasanas from psychological patterns. Isolated memory, so samskaras, means we remember a few things of our past, just So we have some physical memories, we have some emotional memories, we have some mental memories, we have some social memories, and most of them are forgotten. But they still remain into our, what we call subconscious, what you call in Sanskrit, svapna, which is not only dreaming, but it has to do with the movement of the memories are coming into what we call the dreaming state. Now, it was discovered that we are constantly building memory. That is, right now, we are building memory. Because this right now has a quality of immediacy. It's very, very short in time. So the next second, it's already a memory. So for example, when you listen and I am speaking, whatever word comes after the previous word, that builds a sentence. A few words are building a sentence. And this sentence you perceive might not have the same meaning of what I mean. You understand this? Then what makes the meaning of what you hear is the memory. That is, your memory is kind of translating what you hear. So I say, could have, let's suppose it works very well. Let's suppose I say precisely what I mean. That's one point. But on the other side, there is little chance that what you hear and what you understand is what I mean. You follow that? What is going to build your understanding is your memory. Before going on, I have a request here. I would like that every one of you put your camera on. It is not easy to speak to words because your names are written. So can you please put your camera on, everyone? I will wait for you to do it.
I request to all the participants to please switch on their cameras and mute yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Luanda. And hello. Yolanda Yosila, can you put your camera? Everyone, please put your camera on. This is not fun for me, talking to a black screen. Are you ashamed? Ah, thank you, Martin. So what's the trouble? Oh, Yolanda, thank you. Come on, be courageous. Show us your face.
Yeah, Vijayaji, Hinaji, if you're there, you can just be. Yeah, great. Hinaji is one of our faculty members.
Thank you, Ina.
Thank you.
And Dr. Chote, are you there?
And the thing is, she is with me.
Yes.
But yeah, initially she had
I see.
put another device.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about Dipali Shintre? Vaishnavi Koh? Oh, that's together. Then Bharati Hunune, Puja Bhafna. Please put your camera on. I need to see your face. And Dr. Switambari.
I request to all participants one more time, please switch your camera on and keep it on and mute yourself.
Oh, Dipali, you're walking down the streets. Where are you, in Mumbai? In Pune?
Yeah, in Pune. Maybe today it's Sunday, so she will. People are there with the family and everyone.
So I see there are still some shy people. Bharati. Oh. And Ujwala, can you put your phone, your camera on? Now there are a few of them. It's getting better. And please, Bharati, keep your mic off. Thank you. So now it's a little bit easier. It's much more friendly, you know, when we see people's face instead of just their name. So let's go back. What we call samskaras are isolated memories. And some of those memories never happened physically, but just ideas. You know, as a little child, very often we built up kind of fairy tales. And those fairy tales are becoming a part of our memory, but they never happened physically. And imagination is also a part of memory. And also when as a child or as an adult, somebody is saying something important to you, and you have the feeling that what this person says is not the truth. And this happens quite often. So you will never know if it is true or not, because you're not going to ask that person, is what you say, are you saying the truth? Or you could ask, but suppose that person say yes, and you still don't feel it. So you're going to memorize a conflict in between what you feel and what you understand. And this happens very often in childhood, in adulthood also. But childhood is very much built up with this. The mind in the childhood is very much built up with confusion and conflicts. Now, it has been discovered in psychological studies something extraordinary. If 3 times, only 3 times, somebody perceives a situation that is unclear, it builds up a pattern. Pattern is what is called vasanas, psychological patterns. I give you an example because it goes very, very quick. Our mind are learning very quickly. So it was discovered with babies with a mother. What was discovered was that when a baby cries, so suppose a baby cries because there is something scratching his arm or his leg, and he cries. So the mother comes, and of course she doesn't know what's going on. So most of the mother, when the babies cry, they just milk him. They gave them milk, give the breast. And what was discovered, which is extraordinary, was that this happened only 3 times. In the baby's mind, it means next time I will need to be fed, I will say that something is scratching my leg. And very naturally, the baby develops a lying patterns. And you can't harm anyone. The baby asks, the mother answers the way she thinks she has to, but it builds up the patterns where there is some lying into it. You follow that? You understand? So the big discovery was that if this happened 3 times, especially with little infant, the pattern is already built. And you can imagine in our life, because we all have been babies, we all have been children, we all have been teenagers, and we all trying to be adults, which more or less success, but anyway, we are. So, so physically we are, psychologically, this was the big discovery, was how is it that there is no deep maturity after so many years, not only for an individual, but as mankind? How is it that on the level of mankind, we are so immature? You know, today we have the possibility of listening to what is going on in the world, even though what the journalists are showing is just a part of it. And of course, nobody can show the whole world. And if we develop a kind of critical attention, looking and not absorbing like Coca-Cola for a teenager, but just watching clearly and thinking, it is obvious there is no maturity in mankind. It's obvious. Why do we fight? How is it that some people dying without food? And how is it that we have this tendency of taking power on others? This is such a show of immaturity. And we, of course, have the tendency to criticize others. We say others are not good. But we forget that we, each of us, is the other of 7 billion people. So, how is it that there is so much immaturity? And according to inner exploration of the mind that we call yoga, once again, I'm not talking about physical exercises. Physical exercises are called asana. So we are here talking about quietening the mind. So when exploring why there is no quietude in the mind, we discover that those memories have built up a particular way to answer to reality. And this answer, quite often, is not a good answer. It brings new difficulties afterwards. It brings new trouble, new fragmentation. And of course, the human society is the outcome of this. So all those psychological patterns plus isolated remembrances, this is what I call globally memory. And this memory, this type of memory, remember, Yoga Sutras is talking about a mind that is quiet, which means where there is no memory operating. Because whatever we think, most of the time comes from our past. And even when we build project, we build project from the knowledge we have acquired in the past. So even our future plan are kind of embedded in the past. Is that clear for you? I mean, am I clear enough for you to understand? Ah, thank you. Bumpkin said yes. Some thumbs up. Many years ago in India, there was a kind of Coca-Cola called thumbs up. You still have it? Yes, you still have it. So, what is going on with the process of memory? How is it that we have built such a strange mind? Remember that as a human species, we are 300,000 years old, at least, what we call Homo sapiens. And from what we know today, there's been no change in people's mind for 300,000 years. So it's a very old story. Of course, several, let's say 20,000 years ago, human beings they had different ideas, but the thinking process was the same. You understand this? The ideas were different. People were not thinking about building a beautiful house or buying a car or whatever. There was, the thought was about where to find food, where to find kind of shelter, and so they didn't have to pay income tax, and they didn't have to worry with so many things that we are facing today. So the ideas were different, but the thinking process was the same. And the thinking process is built on time. That is, thought is totally connected to time. In fact, time is an invention of thought. Because for the whole movement of life, the thought of time doesn't exist. Things are happening. But for human being, time is a very important part of our life because thought has invented it. Life is a movement, but thought has invented that there was what we call in Sanskrit karma. That is a relationship in between the past and the future, what we call cause and consequence. Is it so? We never question this. We take it for granted. And the reason why we take it for granted is because when we are facing most of the time only a difficulty, we question ourselves, saying, what happened in the past for this difficulty to come now? And when we have no answer, we turn to what we call God. We say, God, what have I done wrong? So we're always looking for the causes in time, in the past. And this is typically the process of the human thinking. When Yoga Sutras are talking about quietening this is not only quietening, but stopping it. What does it mean? Silent mind. And what is it? So when we ask the question, what is it? We are still looking for an answer coming from the past. The big thing is, can we stay with the answer? And can we make it more and more intense? Can we make this, can we stay with the question, not with the answer? Can we stay with the question and making it more and more intense without looking for an answer? Because we know that answer will come from the past. So can we live with a very intense question and go into the energy of this intensity? This is what yoga is about. Now, when we go into this intensity, there is a kind of revolution in the thinking process. And there are many activities happening. So at first we identify them with isolated memories. And then it becomes more and more obvious that it is psychological patterns that do not belong to me. They belong to mankind. And not to consider that the psychological patterns are mine. They are not mine. They belong to, let's call it Homo sapiens. And we are the rest of whole mankind. You know, biologically, today we know with DNA discoveries that biologically we are only memory. We are coming from the memory of our parents. And their memory is coming from our grandparents. The memory is coming from grandparents, grandparents. And it's endless. It's whole mankind is there, biologically. So this DNA is only memory. And this is our shape. When we want to identify ourselves, we identify first through body, and second, through ideas and thinking. And here again, thinking is only memory. The education we received from our parents or from our teachers is memory. We memorize it. And sometimes we accepted it and we behave accordingly, and sometimes we refused it and we behave the opposite way. But even if we are very rebellious, it is still memory. So, when staying with this question, what is it to be quiet? And questioning with intensity, we face no answer. Any answer that comes, and this is where we're going to go now, every answer that comes has to be questioned. Because if I have a deep urge for a quiet mind, and remember once again, quiet mind is the definition of the state of unity according to Yoga Sutras. That is, quiet mind is yoga, not as an exercise, but as a state. So staying very intensively with the question, we very easily realize that whatever answer shows up, it comes from memory. And it will not solve the question. It will not bring peace of mind. It will not bring a quiet mind. Now, there are two things that appear when we question how to be quiet. We see that there are some patterns that are reducing the conflictual movement of the thinking. And there are some other patterns that, on the opposite, are increasing them. So the idea comes that it might be good to reduce what brings conflict and to develop what brings quietude. At first, this is what comes. And this is what Yamas and Niyamas are. Sometimes they have been misunderstood as kind of morality that we have to match with, that we have to follow. This is what religions are based on. Religions say, you do what we tell you and everything will be fine, especially when you die. And then politics are saying the same thing. So you do what we tell you and everything will be fine before you die. But both of them are asking people to do what they are told. Now, here we are talking about ethic and not morality. What Yoga Sutras have listed, or also this Jabala Darshan have listed, are always into two different, they're showing two different patterns. What has to be reduced and what has to be developed. I remember, that's a long time ago, well, 50 years ago, I had to become a monk. I had to take vows and 45 years ago about. And I remember that I was living in the Himalayas at that time, and for receiving the robe, we needed to take 212, I don't remember very well, vows. And among them, half of them were things that we had to do and other things, or we have to develop, and other things we have to reduce. But it was a big, big number. So when Patanjali, when Yoga Sutras are pointing this, they're talking about 5 things to reduce, and 5 things to increase. But let's go first in the meaning of these two words, Yamas and Niyamas. Some of you, you're from India, you might have, I don't know, studied a little of Sanskrit or a lot of Sanskrit. And these words have, of course, several meanings according to the context. But Yama, for example, I'll give you a few let's say, definition. And remember again, definition is something that defines an understanding, which always means that limits the understanding. So we have to go very deep into the exploration of the meaning of the words so that they don't limit our understanding. So definitions do limit our understanding. So anyway, one of the very well-known meaning of yama is to restrain, to suppress, and to control oneself, self-control. Now we have to ask ourselves, who is within us the restrainer? Who is the controller? It is about controlling the self, self-control. Who is the suppressor? It's a very important point that most of the time, we never question in yamas and niyamas. Who is the king of this thing that I call me? Who is the ruler? There are some other meaning of these words, and one of yama. One is utterance, to utter, to speak very slowly, so that nobody understands. Like we have all been very good in utterance in primary school. You know, what people call, but we were just whispering. It was a good time. We still face that sometimes as yoga teachers. Students are whispering in the corners. So utterance, that is saying like a secret. So who in human being, who is telling secret? What is it within us that tells secrets? Is he the same one who wants to be the controller or the restrainer? Another meaning of yama is to bridle. You understand this word? This word? To bridle, brider en français. You know, when you go on a horse, you have a bridle. So you control the horse. So this is another meaning of the word yama. Three other meanings which are very important. One of them is pair. Pair means two. So yama has to do with duality. Maybe in Hindi it has the same meaning. I don't know. Yama means double, two. And now comes two extraordinary meanings. The first is yama. The key, you have to understand a tool that gives access to openness. And the second meaning, which is completely opposite of yama, means the driver, the one who controls. So this word is quite deep in many different meanings. You have to explore them, to inquire into them. You have to study by yourself what all that means in your sensitivity. That is, a part of Yama means to control, to suppress. And another part is talking about opening. But most of the time it means a controller. It means suppressor, it means a rider, somebody, something that control. And it is thought that through controlling, we might have a chance to reduce the movement of the thinking. I don't know if you ever tried to control yourself. This type of spiritual quest that developed a lot from the 15th, 16th century among the Nath Sampradaya that was called Hatha Yoga is about controlling. I think among the so large number of yogas, I think it is the one who has so much developed the controlling, not the other type of yoga. I'm talking about the Hatha Yoga coming from the Nath Sampradaya. Nowhere else. Now, let's go to Niyama. And the meaning of Niyama are not much better. They mean almost the same thing. So one of them is observance. Not to observe like the meditation state that perceives, but to observe means to do once again as we are told to do. Niyama also means a rule. It also means a restriction. It means limitation. It means taming, when you want to tame a lion. It means that there is something within us that has to be the tamer. It also means an obligation, determination. That is following something that we have decided to follow almost endlessly. So we can see that both yamas and niyamas, even though some are said that they will help for quietening the mind by being developed, and some others by being reduced, it's pretty easy to see that all of them are bringing division. They don't bring unity. So it's a very difficult topic when Yoga Sutras are, they just give the name, you might have read them, huh? They know there's not much explanation. There is some explanation, but they're also strange. You remember about the first one, which is called Ahimsa, that we have translated as non-violence. if you remember what the Yoga Sutras are saying about it, it's very strange. It says the state of non-violence is when somebody violent comes closer, he or she becomes non-violent. That's it. Which is not a big help. And when we come to Satya, for example, no, please, when we come to Satya, that we translate it as truth. So some people have translated as not lying. How will you do that? Remember the situation of the baby. How are you going to stop this pattern? I know this lecture is recorded and we might not be very proud, but still, we all are lying since long. I know people don't like it, but that's reality. Now, and we could go on with the whole of it. You remember the big problem in the thinking, the big conflict that Brahmacharya brought. You know, if you take the vow of chastity in the sampradaya or any kind of religion or whatever, if you live in a monastery, it's clear. But when we go into the word brahmacharya, we all know acharya means the one who walks, the one who goes. Brahmacharya means the one who goes toward Brahma. And it has been translated as chastity. And we can question all this and don't take all those definitions for granted and trying to see how we resonate with them. Now, doing this inquiry, I'm not afraid to use big words. Within us will completely change the world for a much better life. The drama of today is that there are too many answers. And we are facing difficulty because we have to choose, like in a supermarket. There's so many different kind of marmalades, you have to take one. So we are about in the same situation. There's so many answers constantly, everywhere. Everyone saying what you have to do, what you shouldn't do. But the yoga has to do with questioning my certainties, questioning my beliefs, questioning my habits, questioning everything that I take for granted. It very simply by oneself. When we do that, there is a few discoveries. Discoveries are not intellectual understanding. They are in intense perception, they are intense sensitivity, because they have the taste of obviousness. It's absolutely obvious. It is the same like when you want to taste a curry. So you can ask to dozens of people, how does it taste? And they will all use different words for explaining you. But once you have the curry in your mouth, you have the answer. But what is extraordinary is that the answer that you have, you cannot express it. There's no words. And the other part of the extraordinary situation is that the question is gone. So perception is a state where questions and answers have disappeared. When this quality of perception is there, the mind is silent. Silent mind is the opening of realizing the whole movement of life has unity, without conflict, without tensions, without comparison. Some texts, like the Jabala Darshan Upanishad, has given, once again, 20 Yamas and Niyamas, and Yoga Sutras have given only 10 of them. What we generally do is trying to give a meaning to these words. And yoga is not that. Yoga has a practice, sadhana. Let's say yoga sadhana is not this. Yoga sadhana is exploring for finding out the origin from where yamas and niyamas were said, were told. It's an exploration into the origin from which understanding is coming from, and not analyzing the understanding, which is a big difference. You understand this? That is, out of, I called it before, unity. It might be easier to understand if I say the meditative state. Out of the meditative state, few obvious things appeared. And what appeared was that the silent mind is non-violent. The silent mind doesn't acquire, aparigraha. The silent mind is virgin, brahmacharya, and all the rest. The silent mind is full of shraddha, of faith, of trust. And, the silent mind is generous, dana, it gives. Silent mind is full of karuna, compassion. It doesn't take anything. It doesn't take anything. Ashteya. Silent mind is pure, sausha, not polluted. It is full of fervor. You understand fervor? Tapas. Silent mind is happy, samtosha. Silent mind is aware of the existence of the universal state of unity, what you've called Ishvara. Ishvara Pujana or Ishvara Pranidhana, as they say in Yoga Sutra. Silent mind is listening. Shravana. Silent mind is full of modesty. Hari, as you say. Silent mind is very clear. Mati. The silent mind is expressing silence in the mind of others, which is the meaning of mantra. Mantra means protect the manas, protect the thinking. So when the silent mind speaks, it brings what you call japa, silence of the mantra, which means it brings silence to others. And lastly, silent mind is a state of contemplation, dhyana. So all those different points, we could add some more, but this is from the Jabala Darshan Upanishad. What has to be clearly understood is that those yamas and niyamas are the expression of a quiet mind. Now, the big question is how to quiet the mind. Once again, there are two things that have so much importance within us and that are totally related to time. First one is the past. You all have heard about yoga saying, be here and now. Not yesterday and tomorrow. And not into any other part. Be where you are. Nidra Yoga don't say be where you are. Nidra Yoga says be what you are, not where. Because there is no where. What is the place where we can define ourselves? There is no place. We are wanderers. We are in movement, always. Right now you're at home, but in a few hours you'll be somewhere else. And if after a few hours you go back home. And we're always on the move. There is not a place where we can stand. Second is time. There is no time that is steady. Time is a movement. And this movement is being activated into, we could say, eternity. Like here is activated into infinity. We think that we evolve, for example. The question of yoga is what we are, is this evolving? Or is it the biological structure that evolves, that changes? Or the psychological structure that evolves? Or the social positions? Those are evolving, those are changing. But here's what we are, I mean, the human nature. Is that evolving? Is that changing? Can you make the difference in between what changes and what doesn't? And can we stay with what doesn't change? Which means the ending of time. Which means the disappearance of space, as we understand it. So space, again, needs references from here to there, from Mumbai to Delhi. But what is the nature of the space in between? So places exist only in space, in infinity. Moments exist only in eternity. But the thought has brought about references points. Can we question deeply into the nature of what we are in terms of space, let's say infinity, and in terms of time, let's say eternity? Can we go into this and we inquire into this? This inquiry is a discovery of what is, of life as it is. And life as it is has some qualities. And these qualities have been called through the different 5 Yamas and 5 Niyamas in Yoga Sutras, or 10 Yamas and 10 Niyamas in this Upanishad. But they are the expression of reality. They are not rules to follow. The moment we follow, we bring division. We want to reach, we hope that by following something, could be an idea, could be somebody, could be a belief, we hope that by following this, we will reach a kind of heaven. But we have been doing this for millennia and millennia and millennia in whole cultures and everywhere on this planet. And if we look at the result today, we have not been very successful. So the second way, the second point is to stop following. That is, no more referring to the past and to stop in, let's say in the present, to stop following. When we stop referring to the past, and when we stop following, immediately, it is not a question of time, immediately we are free. It doesn't require time. Traditions are always saying, you need time. If we go to that integrity of the exploration, there is no time. We don't need time. Immediately there is this state of freedom that comes, what yoga called moksha. So we have to be careful with this. Once again, it is not Yamas and Niyamas are not ideas to follow. They are points to question for discovering what is it to have a ethic life. And when this natural ethic spread, then our life is holy. Our life is sacred. It's not only our life, we just discovered that life is sacred. And we can no more bring trouble. This is not possible. Not because that we want, but because it doesn't work anymore. So once again, when this exploration is done without any compromise, questioning every answer again and again and again and again, until the following movement of question and answer stops and the mind is silent. This silent mind has qualities. When those qualities are actions, then life is holy, life is sacred. I think it's enough.
Hello friends, if you have any question, I request you to all to raise your hands or unmute yourself. First unmute yourself to give a good round of applause to yourself. Thank you so much, sir.
You're clapping to your understanding.
Not really. Namaste, Andreji. I beg to differ with you that your presentation is asking a lot more questions, because you have brought new dimensions and new perspectives to our memories of the past. So all of us, I'm sure, at least I'm going to have lots of questions, and I'm not going to get answers. Let the answers come.
I'm sorry, Bankim, but I didn't hear anything. The connection went off. So you have to start from the beginning again.
Okay, no problem. What I was saying is that on your last comment, I little disagree with you, because your presentation is bringing new perspectives and new questions and new dimensions to the memories of our past.
It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree.
No,
You
no,
know,
no.
this is your ordinary way of operating.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter. What matters is that I hope we are holding quiet together. Now, the moment you agree with something, you must disagree with something else. Because the thought operates only in duality. And it is not because we all agree in the same idea that it is going to reduce the trouble in the world. It is the opposite. No, like nationalism. This is an agreement on an idea only. And we can see the outcome of this. It has assassinated millions of people, and it is still doing. So agreeing or not doesn't matter. We can have a cup of tea together, and that's it.
Chai.
Yeah.
I request to Dr. Vikas Sothe to do virtual felicitation and to have few words and note of thanks.
You want to felicitate?
Sir, it's a virtual felicitation. It's just sharing, giving a thank you note from ourselves to you. Just a small token of love.
Okay, then I go for lunch.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Oh,
So, namaste. Andreji, we are kids. We are your kids. And when I was hearing all this thing, I do remember how it would have been for Adi Yogi. Like maybe this would have been something like that. That's the reason he is called as Dakshinamurti, where without speaking a word, the whole knowledge was being transmitted. And that kind of divine touch was being felt over here. And maybe the way words are incomplete to express, but the ideas, the questions that you made us ask are very important, as Bankimji said, for taking us ahead, the journey of matter and time, from Nirgun, from Sagun to Nirgun, from Prakriti Purush. There would be different words in different sciences, but definitely these are very, very important. And it's the best way how a Sunday evening can be spent. Dhanyavad.
let us hope we didn't betray silence. And anyway, I have to come and hug you in Pune.
At that time, we will like to have more lectures from you, more information from you.
I told you from the beginning, you are a gourmet. So I thank you, everyone, and please let me
So
go.
much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm thanking all of you for joining today. I'm happy to announce that Global Yoga Festival will be continued in next week also. Saturday lecture will be given by Vaidehi Barge on yoga and physiotherapy topic. So please everyone be present there and enjoy the session.
A small announcement from our side. Last week we have.
I leave you. I'm going.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you very
sir.
much. Thank you for your
Thank
valuable
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So a small announcement that we're very happy. Last week, the book Yoga for Business Ethics was launched globally, and we are very happy to get the kind of feedbacks and blessings of many of our gurus, many of our colleagues and students also. And we are happy to announce tomorrow is Ratha Saptami, and on that occasion, we are coming up with another book, which is co-authored by my daughter, who is 6 years old. And the name of the book is Peppa Pig's Surya Namaskar Party. So we are celebrating the so-called birthday of Lord Sun with our kids. So we do request and we do have all your blessings. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Over to Prajakta ji.
Thank you so much, Vikas sir. And now we will chant Shanti Mantra. So sit comfortably, Sukhasana. Roll your shoulders back, keep your spine tall, and join your hands. Close your eyes. Take one deep inhale and exhale. Take one deep inhale. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karvavahai, tejas vinavadhitamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Take one deep inhale and exhale. Rub your palms on each other. Make them warm enough and keep them on your eyes first. Give all warmth to your face. Slowly and steadily open your eyes and see the light through the darkness. Slowly and steadily open up your fingers. Join your palms at the center of your chest. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening ahead.
Yes.
Thank you, Prajakta ji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you.